Hi, I'm Brandon Burrill, owner and operator of Quick Water Heater. Today I'm here to show you how to change out your temperature and pressure release valve. This valve is extremely important to your water heater. It controls the amount of pressure that can build up in the tank, as well as how hot the water can get inside. If your tank overpressurizes itself, it can actually explode. And if it overheats, you're gonna burn yourself. So this valve is super important. It does those two things. We recommend that you check it at least once a year. So the reason we're out here is because when I went to pull this valve up and release the valve and make sure it works, the pin came out. So this needs to be changed. There's no way to know, and it's actually very, very, very dangerous. So we wanna make sure we always have an operating temperature and pressure release valve. What we need to do is actually drain down the water heater a little bit so that we can get to this level. If you take this out before you drain the tank, you're actually gonna have water just firing out of here. So first step, you wanna power flush your valve. That means that we're gonna force all the water out and we're gonna get any sediment that could be stuck in here out of the way so that we can actually drain the water heater. Now, if you don't do this process and you go through with trying to drain the water heater, you could be waiting an hour and a half to get 5 gallons out of it. So this part is extremely important. All you do is open the valve, water will start rushing out. Once you let it run for a minute, you're gonna come up to the top of the water heater. You're gonna shut this valve off up here. So now that there's no pressure coming into the tank, the water will drain out the bottom. To start the flow of water, you're gonna have to let the vacuum go. So if your valve actually works, you're gonna pop it like that, and the water will come out. If this isn't functioning and it's broken or leaking or whatever, don't mess with it. Just go up in your house and open a hot water faucet, and that will start the flow of water. So once you let it drain for 5 or 10 minutes, you're probably gonna be somewhere below this level. Once we get to that point, we can cut the pipe and actually get in there. But before we do, I guess I should probably go over the different kind of tubing cutters. So we have a close cutter, so this will allow you to get in to close proximity areas. This is the cutter that you'd use to cut a lot of pipe, but it actually won't complete the pipe because it won't go around. And then we have the ultimate cheat, which is the Milwaukee pipe cutter. This thing is amazing. So let's get started. What I'm gonna do to keep the repairs as easy as possible is I'm gonna cut right here where the pipe is straight. I don't wanna cut over here because when I try to thread this out, this pipe is gonna bang into all sorts of stuff. So I wanna make sure I cut it right here. So, slide it on. Now that you got this loose, and we've got our straight pipe, remember, don't cut it where there's gonna be any bends because that will affect you later. All right, so now that we've got that out, we can grab our pipe wrench, which is here, and you're gonna notice that there's a little kind of like a circular disc on here, like a raised part. That's where you actually want to put the teeth of this thing in. You do not want to put the teeth here, because if you do, you're gonna collapse this valve and you won't be able to get your new piece in. So these sometimes can be really stuck in there. This one actually wasn't that bad. So I just kind of want to get it hand tight or hand loose. And then I'm not exactly sure where the water level is in the tank. So before I go crazy and let it go all the way, I want to get it right to the very end and then test it. So get all the threads off and then slowly move it away and make sure. So we're all good, no water came out. So this is actually the temperature. This is the temperature bar. So if the water heater overheats, it'll melt this bar and the valve will open. And then it also has a spring inside of here, which if the pressure gets too great in the tank, it'll push its way out and allow the water heater to decrease the pressure. So this thing protects you from overheating as well as overpressurizing your tank. Both are really bad. So you wanna make sure this thing works at all times. This water heater is only about 2 years old and it's already got so much corrosion that it's completely broken. So this is something you wanna change on a regular basis. So we've got our new valve. We want to either use some tape around here or some thread sealant. I'm going to use tape because it's slightly cleaner in this situation. So before we go ahead and put the new valve in, I want to show you that there's different sizes of valves. It depends on the depth of insulation. So this is for basically like a 6-year version or an R8. So it doesn't have to go very deep inside the water heater before it can go in the threads. Whereas the one we just pulled out has a lot more neck on it so that it can get through the insulation before it hits the tank. So make sure that you take your old valve with you wherever you're gonna go buy your new one and match it up. Because if you buy too short of a one, it actually won't go in the water heater. So we'll go ahead and screw this back in. We've already got our tape on there. Kind of wiggle the insulation out of the way. So again, remember I said don't put the threads in the threaded area here because you don't want to damage this area and then not be able to get this to go back in. So I'm going to use the outside portion here. And again, whoever installed this before, I think it was actually from the factory, it was a little too tight. So you don't need to kill yourself putting it in. You want it tight, but not so tight that you can't get it out. So once we get the angles lined up, usually what I like to do is before I get it all the way in, I'll line it up. Put a little tape on this. This is actually called mega tape. It's a little bit thicker, so you don't have to go around as many times, but if you're using the cheap stuff from Home Depot, probably go around 6 or 7 times. Screw this in. You don't have to get it super tight. All I'm doing is just using that as a guide so that I know exactly where to go. So it looks like when we put the new valve in, this was a slightly different size. It's not really lining up. We may have to modify the pipe slightly more. But normally, if you have an easy situation, it would just go right back into place. So I'm going to cut this back about another 1/4 inch and then we should fit snugly. Okay, so before you put this back together, you want to make sure you use a little bit of sandpaper or sanding cloth. And you want to get all the debris off the pipe. You want nice, clean, shiny pipe or else your weld won't go together perfectly. I'm gonna wipe any debris off, and I'm gonna grab a couple, which we'll just slip over here, and then we'll go back together. Okay, so I have a couple here. There's 2 different types of couplings. This is a slip coupling, meaning that the couple can go all the way down it, so I can line up perfectly, and then slide it over and weld it. There's also a stop couple, which means that in the middle there's gonna be an indentation so that you can only go exactly halfway. Sometimes you want both. If you don't know what you're doing, I would just grab the slip one with no notch. That way you can get it in either position. Oh, gotta get a little bit of flux. This is an acid. What the flux will do is eat away further at the copper to expose perfectly clean copper. It also has something to do with oxidation, and it'll cause the flux, or it'll cause the solder to actually get sucked into the joint. So you wanna make sure you cover all the fittings. As you can see, I'm just kind of brushing it around and getting a solid coat. You can actually see how it's starting to change the copper color. Like if I put a little bit there, it'll brighten it up. All right, that's pretty much it. So one trick to soldering, it's not very complicated, but the first time you do it, it's a little weird. You're gonna look for 2 things. First thing is you wanna heat the top of the pipe first. Make sure that it starts changing colors, and then come back and hit the bottom, and I'll show you why. So it started to change colors right there. It went a little bit darker. You want to heat the fitting, not the actual pipe. You want to heat where you want the solder to flow. And you're going to look for a little collection at the bottom. I knock it off so it's clean. I always want my solder to flow around the side that I can't see. So I usually start with the back. I'll see it start to drip and then I'll come forward. That way I know it's gotten all the way around the circle. So it's starting to change color. It means I'm starting to get near the temperature where it'll melt the solder. And I come back to the bottom. Remember, hit the back first, and then flow to the front. Back first, flow to the front, knock off your excess. You're all good. And that's pretty much how you change a TP. You always want to make sure that this thing works. If you can't go like that, it means you've got problems. You don't want your house exploding. You don't want your house flooding. You don't want to burst a pipe because your pressure's too high. So make sure that this thing works. Check it once a year. So the last thing I want to explain is that sometimes this can be a little daunting to the point where you're like, I don't want to do that. I don't recommend this, but if you're in a pinch, you can get these things called Sharkbite Fittings, and they don't have to solder or anything. All they do is you just stick them together and they hold. If you don't want to do the soldering thing, that's the route I would go. I don't actually have any on my van because I don't use them. I personally don't really like them, but they will work, especially in this scenario where there's not always water in this pipe. So that's a little clue on how to get this done a little bit easier. Okay, so now that you've seen just how important your temperature and pressure release valve replacement is, I want to give you the bonus that I promised you at the beginning of the video, and that is to show you how to save $3,000 to $10,000 off your water heating bills. If you click the link below, possibly to the side or even above, I'll take you to that video and I'll show you exactly how to do it. It doesn't take very much time. It's a really simple process that's going to save you thousands and thousands of dollars. So click the link below, above, wherever it might be, click the link now. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Start over. Show you the part about the how do you the third. Okay, this thing's broken. Well, we were going to, but this is broken.